Lots of questions tonight about a security guard who was shot outside the mansion of the rapper, I should say, Drake.
All right, I think it's time that we wrap this beef up because it's officially gone way too far. Look, at the beginning of the year, Cat Williams had an omen for what was to come in 2024 in regards to the balances of good and evil and what would be projected into the ethos. And ultimately, he's been proven true because not only have so many comedians sat on Shannon Sharpe's couch and really called out and threw a bunch of punches, even in the rap sphere, there's been a lot of beefs, most notably the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Now, what started off as something that was supposed to be bigger than just them and include like 20-something people, it has now gotten down to just those two actively beefing with each other. And right now, it's looking like the beef has gone totally too far.
Police confirmed that early this morning, one of his security guards was shot in a drive-by shooting. That guard taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay, but listed in serious condition at this hour.
Now, first and foremost, prayers up to that man because I hope that he comes out of this situation a-okay. But what the lady was alluding to is absolutely right. It gotten to a point in the beef where things had escalated to a height that was honestly not necessary. What started off as friendly words about who's a better rapper, who claims the top spot between Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar, quickly turned into something that it did not have to be when Drake made a reference to Kendrick Lamar's wife in one of his songs. So in the song by Drake, Push Up, he drops a line saying, "I be with some bodyguards like Whitney," which Whitney Alford is the fiance of Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick definitely took that personal. And so, as we'll divulge into later, they keep going lower and lower and lower at each other's belt until we get to this point where Kendrick Lamar is taking direct shots at Drake's family, writing a letter to his son, and addressing some allegations about Drake being a pedo, which for the biggest star in the rap game would be probably the craziest, most damning thing in the world. And Drake met that with a response about Kendrick placing said hands on Whitney. It honestly has escalated beyond beef. I think that there's no holds bars in rap beef, which is a perfectly fine case and scenario, except for when we get to the point where the personal attack on people's family start to spill over into what can only be assumed is some sort of acts of retaliation. Now, I can't say for 100% sure if what's going on is literally from Kendrick Lamar's camp specifically, or they could just be potentially crazed fans. But what I do know is this is something that we should not be seeing in hip hop today. There's no place for it at all. It hasn't even been 30 years yet since Biggie Smalls or Tupac Shakur have been murdered in the streets from some sort of gun violence, which seemed to be premeditated after these two got in some sort of rap beef with each other. And we all know how that shocked the world. I don't have to go into those details. It would be a shame to see something like this happen in what was supposed to be just a friendly spar of the word turn into two black men slain in the streets. Now, I still do want to cover some of the beef right here, but what I do want to say is that it is never that serious. Nobody should be losing their life over what's going on. At the end of the day, this is just music, or at least it's supposed to start off that way. I can't tell two grown men how they should deal with these two conflicts because people are talking about their families at this point. People are making some serious allegations at this point. However, I do not think that this should come to some sort of violence, and I hope somebody could sit them down. We've been losing way too many people lately due to the nonsense. Now, with that being said, these allegations are very much damning. We've heard from the Rick Rosses, the Futures, and the Weekends of the worlds, but some words that Kendrick Lamar is saying are really pressing on my brain. On the song Euphoria, he says, "We hate the bitches you fuck because they confuse themselves with real women." Drake's frat boy player persona was manipulated by Kendrick Lamar and other rappers who have turned the tables on Drake's "I'd fuck your girl" claim into "No, you'd fuck the girl everybody knew not to," which is in reference to his, adult entertainment star, baby's mother that he had Adonis by, the one that he was hiding for a long time. You know her. Or it could also be another play on word where Drake is having relations with a transgender person. For those of you familiar with the show Euphoria, which Drake does have producer credit, there's been some claims out there that he's been with Hunter Schafer, aka Jules Vaughn, on the show. And now I don't have any problems with Drake and his sexual life unless it's those young women. That's a totally different conversation. But it is very damaging because Drake has been seen as this playboy, can get whatever woman he wants, and Kendrick Lamar is seemingly defaming those claims and saying, it's not all that it's cracked up to be, because he's really just a scumbag and a sleazeball at the end of the day. Now, two of the most damaging claims come from Kendrick Lamar when it comes to Drake's black identity, where he's talking about how Drake feels about his blackness and who he is within the ethos and where Drake falls within the diaspora. He has a line that says, "How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?" Now, it's been well documented in Drake's past about how he's given pushback to his black identity and how he relates to that side of the spectrum.
You didn't have a bar mitzvah.
Come on, are you serious? First of all, I live in an all-Jewish area, so
Where
I went
is
to
that?
Forest Hill.
Okay.
I went to a predominantly Jewish school growing up. I definitely had a bar mitzvah and an Italian restaurant. A very nice Italian restaurant.
Now look, nobody is saying that Drake doesn't have black ancestors. We all know who his father is. He's a black African-American man from the United States, Memphis, Tennessee to be specific, and he got with a Jewish mother. But when Kendrick Lamar is saying the line about black features, it is talking about how he himself, Drake, has perceived himself in the black culture, in the black world. And then it also talks about, and he's also talking about how Drake has very questionable actions when it comes to being a black man in hip hop. Now we all remember the picture that appeared during Drake's last beef with Pusha T from the story of Adidon, where Drake, not seemingly, was definitely in blackface. Now I don't know a singular black person who would put on blackface for any rhyme or reason. It really doesn't even make sense at all. But what really sent a lot of people over the edge is Drake's excuse as to why he did it. He said that he did it for trying to bring light to these situations and blah blah blah. Look, no real person of the culture would say things like that. And then we have to talk about how Drake even talks about his identity and who he is as a black man in the public eye.
Yo, sometimes like some of like my blackest friends can be just as cruel on the other end, you know, by making you feel excluded. Sometimes I don't feel celebrated when I know maybe somebody else would be celebrated for those accomplishments, you know? I don't feel like people say, when Drake is the artist of the decade, I don't think anybody says, wow, a black artist is the artist of the decade. You know, I associate myself as a black man, so.
I don't know who says my blackest friends. That sounds like Trump saying he has black friends. It sounds crazy. But the thing that stuck out to me in that interview or that segment right there was, I associate myself as a black man. Those are really, really tricky words from Drake here. But that also coupled with the fact that he himself has been called colonizer by Kendrick Lamar in some of his rap songs, which has been proven by the way that he's collecting trinkets of black history, the artifacts of hip hop, you know, Pharrell's ring, a G-Unit chain, Tupac's ring, and some other things. It almost seems like he very much is a mixed person living in the reality that is America. Hey, I am black when I choose to be black, but I can very much dip out of it when I want to. And I think it's funny that Drake loves to put on these images of what he feels the black culture is. I am a fan of black culture all the time, and it's hard to tell somebody what is or isn't black culture, only because I live in it, I experience it, so my everyday is black culture. However, Drake gives off caricature vibes, and I don't think a lot of people can doubt that in some of his actions and some of his movements, and that leads to people questioning his identity all of the time. Now, those are some very damaging issues from Drake and the Kendrick Lamar beef. However, the most damning issue has to be when Kendrick is calling him out for being into younger girls. Now, since this beef has started, a lot of those girls have come out and dispelled any rumors. The Millie Bobby Browns of the world, the Bella Harrises of the world, or even Sydney Christine. Drake has a lot of accusations and digital proof of him being around and doing inappropriate things with younger women in his life, but all of them have had to even come out and speak about how those things were nothing more than them being fans or nothing sexual going on in the relationship. And honestly, I feel for those young ladies because that's embarrassing to have to do. However, I can't say that Drake didn't bring this upon himself because there's a lot of evidence that leads to him being around some sort of younger woman and falling for them in some sort of way. Now, with that being said, of course, it's a two-sided beef, so Drake isn't the only one that has, you know, something to say in this rap beef about what's going on. Kendrick Lamar has a lot of dirt on his name as well. Kendrick Lamar has been painted as some sort of savior, some sort of black messiah in the culture. However, it can't go without note that there are some very damning claims about him as well. One of them being most notably that he has been dating white women or having sex with white women in his time as being a famous man. And not only does he date white women or smash white women or whatever, Kendrick Lamar has also been known to bring young white girls up on stage and allow them to say the N-word while rapping his song. Now, for somebody who is so pro-black like Kendrick Lamar, that just seems a little bit sketchy. And honestly, I think that there does bring some question into what was going on there. Now, probably the most damning piece of evidence that goes against Kendrick Lamar is the fact that not only was he dating these white women or smashing these white women, he was also doing this while engaged to his half-white wife. And that's where Whitney Alford comes in. Or maybe I should call her a fiance, because that's another damning thing. She and him have not been married. Now, I don't think that that's out of the ordinary at all. However, people are questioning the fact that, hey, you do have a white wife, wife, half white, and you are supposed to be somebody who is very pro-black. It just doesn't align too much to what you call a black messiah. And you are beating on her. Now, we don't condone DV on this channel at all, and there hasn't been any substantial evidence to back literally any of these claims. It's just rap beef. All in all, though, this is to say that none of these celebrities that you look up to are your savior. None of these people are gods. They are all human in their own right. If we continue to prop up these people, you will look like the stands on the internet that I just don't like to this day. They crash out over people who wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. And to be honest with you, putting that much time, effort, and energy into these people who ultimately don't know you can only do two things. One, take you away from your priorities and your primary objective. And two, fuel a fire that really should not exist. Till we get to the point where people are literally doing drive-bys at Drake's house. I don't think that we should be going down this path anymore. I'm hoping that this beef stops. When it was just rap, it was cool. Now that it's gotten to this personal level and personal became reality, I'm off this wholeheartedly. But don't praise these people. They are not your saviors. Let me know what you guys think. Who's winning this beef?